man may not be on the top of his form, but he can still make himself useful.
Welcome back to the By Design Show. I'm your host, Ronnie Knuckles, and today I have got with me someone that I've been looking really forward to having on the show, Mr. Chad Sexton. If you aren't following him on social media, I highly encourage you to go and check him out. If you need a good laugh, you and your wife should go and check him and Shannon out and what they're doing on social media. He's bringing joy to a lot of people. And so, how you been, man?
Good, been good. Just staying busy.
That's good. I saw your video the other day of the with the iPhone plugs in your nose.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't look so good there.
Yeah, I threw those away afterwards. Trashed them.
We had a good laugh earlier because I'm like, I got to study up and see what his most recent videos are, man. So I just wanted really to bring you on and learn a little bit. Like,
okay.
I know you from church. For those listening or watching, Chad and I go to church.
Mm-hmm.
Chad is he's the sound guy at Cornerstone.
Well, production. I help with production.
Okay.
Yeah.
I say sound guy because, I don't know for sure.
It's all the same.
He does. It's a lot. You open that door in there and you can get a headache really quick with the monitors and all the stuff going on behind the scenes. So,
right.
So Chad does that. I know him through that, but I'd kind of seen you taking off on social media just by like having fun. Like,
yeah, we just have a good time.
Just kind of organic, posting funny content and stuff. So, I wanted to kind of bring you in and see what that journey looked like. So,
okay, well, I'll tell you kind of how it started was you got to go back to right when COVID began, started.
Yeah.
And my wife works for the school board, and I work for a chemical factory as my day job. And that's back when if you got COVID, everybody was wanting you to stay home for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So I didn't even have Facebook back then. I think I just looked at Shannon sometimes. I definitely didn't have TikTok or Instagram.
Yeah.
But we got pretty bored because she got COVID right out the gates, And I got bored, downloaded TikTok, and was watching some videos. And I was just it was cool and funny. I was just a little disappointed at all the nastiness and the negativity. And so I made a few videos just half joking around and along the lines of like marriage comedy, and I didn't use any bad language or anything like that. And we just got lucky, really, because I think our second video took off pretty quick.
Yeah.
And overnight, we picked up 10,000 followers on TikTok. And so we just kept doing it for that whole next year. And then I thought, well, this is kind of like I might as well be putting this everywhere else. So I started putting it on Facebook and putting it on Instagram. And then we got blessed and lucky enough to get those pages verified and our followers up. And that's just kind of how it just kind of started by fluke.
Yeah, that's cool. I feel like it happens a lot.
Yeah.
I know that there are strategies and stuff that you can use, and which you probably know a lot about now.
Yeah.
Over the
After
years.
the fact.
Just initially you kind of get that one video that sparks and takes off. And since then, I mean, it's grown into, you guys did a news story. Didn't DRB or one of those guys?
Yeah, we did a news story a couple of years back, and then I did some, not a radio thing. I did another news story when they were getting ready to, take TikTok, or when they did TikTok off.
Yeah, that's one of your biggest platforms.
Little news story there for a little while. So, yeah, it's been pretty cool.
That is cool. Yeah, TikTok has been, for the podcast, TikTok has been the most productive.
Yeah.
So, we'll get YouTube, if it's really good quality, we'll get pretty decent views. Facebook doesn't seem to show it as much.
Yeah.
But TikTok, man, it's we've picked up some decent followers.
It's pretty wild. I mean, I just kind of dove into after TikTok, after we got it going, and I started, I don't know, you get on YouTube and videos would come up because you know how that is. It kind of follows what you like, the algorithm. So I start watching videos of different guys on there talking about how to use that analytics to your advantage. So I started doing that on TikTok, and that's when it really took off. And then I kind of applied that same thing to Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
You know? I don't think I'm funny
Similar
at all. I just think I've really got lucky on the analytics.
I think also you hit on stuff that like people think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like I don't know how to like it's just situations that they've been in or thought, and you hit on the familiarity of a situation and you make it funny, which
it's what we try. I mean, I try to do that, and for anybody that does follow us and watch our videos, 95% of the videos I make, I always run it by her first, because we get a little bit of hate sometimes.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So, but there is that 5% of funny stuff every once in a while that I won't tell her what I'm doing, just to get a good, reaction from her. But,
yeah. I think my all-time favorite, one of you guys, was actually her, and y'all had gone to you'd gone on vacation somewhere, and you're floating. You're floating out in the water like a dead body. That cracked me up.
Yeah,
man.
that was a good one.
So do you guys come up with the? I know you run stuff by her, but is it like maybe something happens in real world, and you're like, oh, we should make a video out of this?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many times. When you're creating content like that, 30 or 40% of what you make is going to be inspired by just stuff you've seen from other people, because it's hard to be that creative all the time.
Yeah.
Especially, I've got a full-time job. I have a part-time thing at church. I watch our granddaughter a lot.
Yeah.
So 30 or 40% of it, I'm taking, just like other people do with us, ideas from other people and just reshaping them.
Sure.
But then the other, 60, 70% is just everyday stuff that happens with me and her.
Yeah.
Just goofy stuff, and I'll think, well, that'll be funny.
Yeah, like getting in the car with her cups of coffee and all the keys and stuff
like that.
Yeah, because that's all stuff that my wife will
just
do.
Relate it. Like I try to do relatable stuff, and no matter what, we keep it clean. And I'll usually try to. We've got a company that works with us called Caruso. I'll wear a lot of their shirts in the video. They do like a play on words type deal with shirts like designs. It'll be like it'll look like a Mountain Dew thing, and it'll say meant to die instead of Mountain Dew.
Gotcha.
So I don't try to beat that over people's heads, but we do get a lot of messages from people like, hey, like, thanks for keeping it clean, and thanks for showing your Christian shirts. Or I haven't leaped over to where I'm talking about my Christian faith, and I want to get there, but I haven't got there yet.
Yeah, I think it's look, I think for us it's a little different. Like we came into it, and we have specific shows dedicated to that, because I don't want people to feel like they can't come listen to what we're saying and feel like I have to beat that over their head every time. So I understand that there's a way to do that, and I think one of the ways that you do it really well is by wearing. I've noticed that, like, you'll wear certain apparel or whatever, and at the very least that could prompt someone's curiosity enough, to dive into it.
That's what I'm hoping.
But I think just in today's world, keeping it clean, and there's so much temptation not to. Yeah. One of the things, you're familiar with Dude Perfect.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure.
I love Dude Perfect.
Yeah. We're actually going to surprise our kids and take them to see it in August.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're gonna flip out. But we, I went and watched their documentary, and one of the things that they had talked about was they had kind of started to get YouTube famous, like in 2010 or whatever. And one of their biggest, they had no money, and their biggest sponsor came to them and was like, hey, I'm gonna give you $40,000 if it was Bud Light, I think, was the sponsor. And they're like, hey, we'll give you $40,000 if you start to rep our brand during the shows. And so they had this decision to make, like, we're broke, God, we've been asking God to provide for us, and here's this $40,000, but this doesn't really represent our faith and who we want to appeal to. So they turned that down, and then, we know what's happened since then.
Oh, yeah, they're huge.
Multi-million-dollar operation. Yeah. They got guys going to outer space and stuff.
Crazy.
So, yeah, I mean, I think there's something to that, man. I think God blesses that. And I've always noticed that about you guys. And there ever been like a temptation? Anyone ever reached out and been like, "Hey, will you do this kind of thing?" Or is it ever been that?
We've had companies reach out, because we'll do like, I don't really call it brand deals. We'll do deals where somebody will send us a message on Instagram and be like, "Hey, if you promote this product, we'll give you this amount of money."
Gotcha.
And at the beginning, I didn't really put any kind of research into the products. If it was a good product, I was like, I'm not going to do alcohol or anything like that. But just for example, like we did a razor. I won't say the name of the brand, but we did like an electric razor one time. And they paid us well, and we did the video, and it did good. But then I start noticing in the comments, like, hey, do you know this company, gives money to such and such places?
Gotcha.
And so then I was a lot more careful of who I chose, to do that kind of stuff for.
Yeah, because you're like unintentionally attached to
yeah,
them.
I didn't.
What I
I
mean?
was sitting there like sending messages to as many people as I could to tell them like I had no clue,
Yeah,
So,
yeah. That's tough.
Yeah.
And I've always wondered what that looked like, for someone who has a lot of followers, and you're kind of like a comedy influencer. I don't know if that's a word yet, but I guess it is now. Do you feel like it? Do you feel like you ever feel any pressure from that?
Not pressure per se. It's just like when we go out, I've never had to worry about like, who sees me or what. But just being a Christian, of course, you want to represent God well. But now with being a Christian and having our social media platform, I'm careful of what I say and do, because you never know who's listening. And then, when we're out in airports or different states and stuff, and to me, it's awesome when someone comes up to you.
Yeah.
And introduces herself and said, but it really embarrasses Shannon, like big time,
Yeah.
But,
so does that happen really? So you could be in other states and people will come up and say,
yeah,
hey, what's up? I know
it's weird. It happens.
Well, you got like
a lot.
1.8 million followers across all the platforms, right?
Yeah,
Something like
across
that?
all three, it's a couple million.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I tried to count
this year. I'm hoping this year we hit 1 million on one of them. It's looking like we might on Facebook, just the way it's been growing.
You're about 800,000 or so on Facebook, right?
Yeah, if it stays the way it's been growing, we should hit it. But it does. I'm cool with if it stays like it is.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, I think it's. I think you're blessing people either way. I think one of the people look at Christians like not ever funny or not ever willing to have fun or cut loose, and I think you're kind of breaking that barrier down a little bit. People can see that.
Appreciate it.
You can have fun and be funny. You don't have to be. Not all Christians are squares all the time.
And it's tough because you could, like, I know I could have a couple million people already if I wasn't doing, clean humor.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to come up with stuff sometimes. I mean, I know I want to keep it clean, but I'm thinking, golly, this other couple over here is doing crazy stuff. No one, and
yeah,
I don't know. It's just frustrating sometimes.
Yeah, sure. I imagine it is. There's a couple clean comedians that are kind of growing, like stand-up guys.
Awesome.
Dude, he's blowing up right now. Yeah. But I think he's blowing up because he's found, kind of like you have in a lot of ways, like they found a way to where the cleanliness of what he's talking about, it doesn't even come into question.
Yeah.
He's just.
Yeah, and he's a Christian. Actually, his aunt goes to our church.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, his dad was at church. It was late last year. I'd have to ask Matt, our pastor.
Yeah.
But his dad showed up to church one day because he was in town for a high school reunion because he went to Butler High School.
Oh, that's cool.
For a year or so.
His dad?
His dad.
Oh,
did, before they moved to, I think I'm telling this right before that, but he was at church one day and his aunt's there all the time. Like Matt knows his aunt. So.
That's really cool, man. It's a small world.
Yeah.
Yeah, they. My mom is always talking to me about him, and she'll send me clips and stuff
awesome.
of him. He is funny, and it's cool to see a guy like that, like doing all kinds of big commercials and stuff now. Because it's like I think of all the big like clean comedians, the one that really stands out was like Jeff Foxworthy.
Oh yeah,
he was kind of like the first really big clean comedian, and but anyway, no, that's cool, man. So let me ask you about kind of your life, kind of leading up to where you're at now. I know you've got some kids that are close to my age, a little bit younger than me, but
yeah.
So you grew up in Louisville, I'm assuming?
Yeah, grew up in Louisville, South End, been there my whole life. I'm actually in the house that I grew up in.
Oh, that's cool.
Me and her got married pretty young, like 20 years old, and we bought a little house, but was only there like 6 months. And when my parents decided to build and sell theirs, I just bought theirs. So we've been in the South End forever. Me and her went to grade school, middle school, high school together.
That's cool.
Dated in high school, got married, and we have 2 boys. Austin's a little younger than you. Mm-hmm. He's like 27, and then I've got Aaron that's 24, and they're both high school teachers. And
Very cool.
yeah, and of course Austin works at church too. So.
Yeah, and they're great guys too.
Well, thank
you.
you.
You know, I really Austin's a good dude. I don't know your other son as well.
Yeah,
I see Austin at church a lot. Does he live in Louisville? Your other son?
Yeah, both of them.
Okay,
do.
okay.
Yeah, they both teach locally here.
Gotcha. And you graduated from PRP?
Valley.
Okay, okay. Matt was
way
at PRP.
way back, like 92.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I guess you was born.
I was one.
Yeah,
I was 1 year old.
It makes me feel good.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
Have you seen their new gym over there?
Yeah,
Man,
yeah,
it's super
nice, real nice.
Yeah, Whitfield, their girls made it to like the regionals, and the regional tournament was held at Valley. And I remember playing at Valley. I went to Fern Creek, and I remember playing at Valley, and
Totally different back
and I
then.
thought, oh, dude, it's gonna be a Valley. And then we walked in there. I'm like, dude, this is nice. This is like
it's
one of the nicer
super
gyms
nice.
I've been in.
Yeah.
No, that's cool, man. And so you and Shannon have been together. You guys have not just like, you know, Laura and I have been married for we're coming up on 10 years. So like, you know, we've got 10 years of experience, but you guys have like a lifetime of experiences.
Yeah, she's been around. You know, my mom and dad. My mom passed away a few years ago, but she used to joke around like, "You've been around half her life, like
Right.
half my life."
Right.
So, yeah, she started coming around. Well, we started dating when she was 14, and you know, we got married when she was 20 and I was 21. So.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So it's like, you grew up with each other and did that, you know, all the way through. So you've got a lot of experiences to draw on for content and things like that. So
Well, and she'll tell you, I've been bugging her for a long time. Like, I had a video camera in high school when nobody had video.
Oh, you had the big, like,
The big
shoulder
one. Yeah,
shoulder
so
guy.
I've got some classic stuff. She just gets super embarrassed when I put it out. you
Yeah,
know.
I've seen the picture of you guys.
Yeah.
Like that you've shared.
The old 90s one.
Yeah, with the hair. Everybody had the big
Oh,
hair
yeah.
and stuff.
It
back
looks
then.
like AI made it, but it didn't.
Yeah, that's funny, man. No, that's cool. So you guys get married, and you know you start having children and stuff. Were you always in church? Like, you grew up in church, or did you come to faith later
I
on?
grew up in church. I went to a church back then that was called Valley Station Baptist. It's now Grace Point.
Oh yeah.
And I was there. I started going in middle school, and my family had went there years previous, but nobody in my family was really going to church then. And once I got baptized, my mom and dad start coming. Then a lot of our family start coming. And me and her stayed in church. We stayed there even when the boys were born. There were several years that I didn't want to be in church at all.
Sure.
You know, once we got married and had kids, I worked swing shift, and it was tough. And then I was just not living the way I should. You know, nothing like drugs or alcohol. I just wasn't living the way I should as far as being a Christian. Didn't read a Bible, didn't pray, but she always did. She always prayed for me, and once we got back into church, I started going to Valley View, and then switched.
Yeah, I got you.
But yeah, there was a time where I didn't want to be at church at all for a good, 10 years probably.
Yeah, that's how it kind of was for me. You know, I was in church. We went to Harvest in Fairdale, and then I left and went in the Marines. And when I came back, I'd come home on leave one time, and the church had a church split while I was there. It was the Sunday I went while they were on. It was like a nasty split too. And they have recovered, and they're doing really well, and it's a great church. But after that, I was kind of like, I'm done. Like I kind of went to church in California some, but you know, when we're in the Bible Belt and church is done a certain way, and when you move somewhere else and they do it differently, you know, it's just kind of weird. So it didn't feel like home. And then I moved to Pennsylvania, and same kind of deal. And when I came back, Laura and I had started talking when I was getting ready to get out, and she'd always been faithful, and so we start dating, and I moved back to Kentucky, and of course she's praying for me that I'll get back in church, and then I decided, you know, she kind of forced me into marriage. She would never admit that, but she was kind of like, you're either going to marry me or we're done, you know, because I'm in this because I'm looking for a husband, because, you know, which was wise on her part, and so. Anyway, we got married, and I think through having her praying for me and her being faithful, I was able to kind of lean back into that. And then we started, we were searching for a long time. And then we'd come to Valley View and checked it out, and then we had gone. There's a place in Fern Creek we had gone to, and
Right.
then when Cornerstone started at the little Catholic, shut down Catholic church, I think we were there the first Sunday, and after that, it just, I don't know, it felt right, man. And
it's like it's even though we've grown, it's like a big family,
Yeah, everybody is. It's weird, in a smaller church, everybody knows everybody, and which I think there's extreme value in that.
Right.
And as Cornerstone has grown, you would think it would feel like, nope, there's not a lot of connection there. But it seems like everybody I talk to at Cornerstone, they're connected because the church is centered on Christ.
Right.
It's not centered. Matt is an extremely great pastor, and I love him. But he would probably attest to this. It's not centered on Matt. It's centered on Christ.
Yeah.
And because of that, the congregation are all able to feel that connection and feel like you can know each other just through that.
Well, and I think they've been so intentional the whole time about having groups, like smaller groups, to make you feel like you're part of a church.
That's been huge.
And that's for me been huge. Like, especially when we did like the men's thing on Wednesdays, like I was a table leader, and I intentionally picked out, as many people as I could that I really didn't get to talk to much or didn't know very well, just because, I wanted to meet some new people, know, and that's what they do well. Like, so if you're in the South End and don't have a church to go to, you need to check us out.
Yeah, definitely check out Cornerstone. There's some great churches around Louisville.
There is plenty.
That felt like home to me. Tim goes to Field of Grace and Lebanon Junction, and they're doing some really good things out there. So there are some good churches, but find one that's centered on Christ and get plugged into it, man. And, you might run into Chad and catch a good joke or something.
Bust a joke there with you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Chad, I really wanted just to bring you in to get to know you. I know I get to see you on social media, and I get to see a church. But at church, it's kind of like, hey, you're doing your production thing, and I'm trying to get my kids in class, and I don't really get to know the guy behind the funny guy on Facebook. And so I wanted to spend some time with you today and get to know you, man. And I'm extremely grateful for you coming on.
I appreciate it.
And sharing your story. And we'll be praying for you, and I'm hoping you crack that million follower
it'd be
mark.
neat. I don't know why I want to do it. It'd just be neat to say I did it.
Yeah, no, that'd be really cool.
I mean, everybody likes Shannon. They're not on there for me, but it would be cool if we could hit it.
It is funny when she, because she'll always do something that, like, she'll say something, and I'm like, Laura would have said that in real life. You know what I mean?
And I never would have thought in a million years she would play along with this, but she likes it now.
Yeah, I think at first people, like you were talking about haters earlier, they're like, why is he treating her like this? As if she wouldn't in on the game or something.
Oh, we even had some people at church that would come up to me and be like, you need to stop treating her. I was like, trust me, it's not real. It's fake. It's scripted, you know. And, I've gotten to the point which, like on the drive over here, like anytime I'm driving, I'll just turn Chat GPT on and I'll put it in the voice mode where you can, I don't know if you've ever did that. You can talk back and forth.
Yeah.
I have wrote so many scripts,
That's
just
cool.
like bouncing ideas back and forth off that it's kind of wild.
So let me ask you this. You actually brought something up now. See, now we're going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Because I get a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to, like, we're big in the dumpster oil industry and what we do. And so a lot of the people in those industries will follow us. I'm curious because I know that ChatGPT's got a voice function.
Yes.
Okay, so you can have a conversation back and forth with it, right? So you're prompting it to respond to whatever question you have. How then do you go and have it record a script for you?
Well, it's pretty, like, I've gotten pretty good at it. So I've gotten to where my Chat GPT, I go ahead and pay the monthly fee because it's really useful. And plus I can write it off, and you could too.
Yeah, we have it. Yeah, we do.
And it has started to learn me over the last 6 months. And it knows my humor. It knows my wife's name. It knows how old we are. When I can make like cartoon type memes, or regular memes.
Yeah.
It's gotten good at almost recreating what we look like in the memes. But when it comes to a script, like on the way here, I was making a little script where we're just going to be like sitting at the dinner table and eating dinner, and we're going to be praying for each other. And I was like, well, it'd be kind of funny if we like took turns roasting each other in a prayer.
Yeah.
So it helped me come up with, it just tweaks it. Like it'll mainly use what I'm telling it, and it'll give me some good ideas, but it'll be like, oh, it'd be funny if you was praying about how your wife really cooked a nice dinner. It would just be better if it was more like your mom's or something like that.
Yeah.
So then when I finish, I'll just simply say, hey, can you save this in a format that I can save to my notes in my iPhone, and
That's
it'll
very
save
cool.
it, and it'll tell you, like, I like to keep my videos between 30 and 40 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And when I finish, I'll be like, I need this to be 30 or 40 seconds. It'll say, okay, well, in this part, say this, and then try to cut it off here, and then say this. It'll take you all the way through it.
That's cool,
Like,
man. So it'll not only save like the prompts that you're giving it, it'll tell you like this is what, like this
Yeah.
is where you need to hook and this is where you need to
Oh,
end.
and it'll write the video descriptions with a good hook. It'll help you know what's current for hashtags. It'll help you know what's current for the best audios to put in the background. It's actually pretty wild.
That's
because
awesome.
it's hard to continuously come up with content on
Yeah.
your own.
Yeah.
And it's not coming up with the content 100% by itself. It's just helping me tweak it. you
Yeah.
know?
Helping you make the content
Yeah.
where it's going to be digested better.
But it's so useful. Like,
Yeah.
not even for our social media, just at work, like rewriting like standard operating procedures,
Yeah.
or, you know, just tweaking your email so you don't sound stupid when you send it, or,
Yeah.
you know, just little stuff like that.
kind regards at the end
Yeah,
of the day.
stuff like just little stuff like, you know, when I make a meme, it'll say, hey, maybe you should misspell a word to increase engagement. And then everybody will get in arguments in the content or the comments about why I misspelled a word. You
That
know,
is
just,
interesting, man.
just silly stuff. You know?
Yeah, I have, we use it to write some content and then we'll humanize it
Yeah.
just for search engines and stuff. But like, to your point with the standard operating procedures, that's been
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Like, it's to the point to where I'm in a lab.
Yeah.
We took a machine that was old, bought a new machine, a lab machine that does testing, and we needed to, you know, of course, rewrite the operating procedures
Yeah.
to match the new machine, made by the same company. I took a picture of the old machine, took a picture of the new machine, took a picture of the SOP of the old SOP,
Yeah.
asked it to help me recreate it. It did it step by step perfectly.
That's
Like,
wild.
Yeah. Makes me look smart.
It does, man. Yeah. You're like, hey, I already got that done for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
No,
cool.
that is cool. I wish I had it when I was in college.
Oh,
You know,
I wish I had it in high school. I would have never had to do anything. Yeah.
I didn't do anything in high school. In college, I barely did anything. I mean,
Yeah.
I was going to school in like 2015, so they had an app called Mathway,
Yeah.
and you could take a picture of
I remember my boys using
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And then it would spit out the value. It got me through statistics.
There you go.
But if we had had AI, man, I don't even know how you
Pretty
have
wild.
college anymore. Yeah.
It
No, it
is
is.
scary and wild and cool at the same time.
Yeah.
you
It's
know?
an amazing tool.
Yeah.
Then it can just go into what's that amazing tool going to do to
Oh,
humanity over the next 20 years, So if you had one tip, we run our social media. We're trying to grow the show. We're trying to get people engaged in what we're doing. We share our faith on the show. And really, just to say it, our main goal of this show is to draw people in and then hope that they hear the gospel sometime in the show.
Oh, yeah.
And so we've got that on our minds and hearts. And then we also want to grow our brand to drive in business through Spearcrest.
Right.
We build great websites.
You got to make money.
Right.
I mean,
And social media is the best organic tool out there right now to do that.
It's almost like free advertisement.
Yeah. I don't have to pay an agency to go do that.
Yeah.
Now when it comes to Google and stuff, different ballgame. But when we're talking about social media presence and brand building, it's the way to go. So you've got nearly 2 million followers. Okay. So you're doing something that's working. If you had to give one tip to a listener who's trying to grow their brand, trying to grow, what would that tip be? Just I know there's probably thousands of them, but if you had to pick one, what would it be?
Well, my one tip would be, analytics. Now that has several subtitles underneath it, and what I mean by that is every social media platform, if you're doing like the professional mode or, the professional dashboard, like Meta has like professional dashboard on Meta or on Instagram and Facebook, and TikTok has like a professional mode where it breaks it down. If you're not using analytics, then you're missing out because it'll tell you everything. It'll tell you your retention time on how long a person watches your video. So if I make a 50-second video and people dropped off at 35 seconds, well, I'm going to start making 35-second videos. And it'll tell you, the age group, where they're from. There's so many different things in analytics that can help you, and that's, like I said earlier, I don't even think I'm funny. I just think that I've gotten really good at taking those analytics and using that as a key to know when to post, what day is the best day, what time is the best time, what hashtags, stuff like that, how long the video should be, And the other tip is if you don't have lighting and a good microphone, just don't even make the video.
It does make a difference.
Yeah,
like you can really tell because there's so much everything looks professional now.
Yeah.
We got these cameras and this light and these mics, and even now, we'll use Opus to break everything up.
Right.
And I'm like, dang, dude, this could look so much better. So we're going to have to
lighting's
figure that
big.
out.
Like if I get in a rush and make a video where, and I try to hide the mics under our shirts, but anymore I just use like a one that kind of
the big
the DJI
like
has
ball
one
on the top. Yeah,
just sits there and people know, they know. But I know if I make a video in a rush and it doesn't have good sound and good lighting, that video never does good.
Yeah,
ever.
Yeah, it is weird, man. Because you're not competing with people, but you are kind of. You're competing for attention in a way.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not giving you my attention if your audio is crap and the video sucks. I'm not going to do that. So
I guess that's like 2 or 3 points that I would try to follow.
No, I mean I think it's important. You got to get some decent videos out, but then you got to start tracking analytics, which is kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Like we've gotten videos out. We've gotten some that have gotten traction and others that haven't. And I was thinking, kind of our goal is we're going to get 10 out across all platforms and figure out which ones are getting traction and then kind of reverse engineer that.
And just copy, not word for word copy that video, but if you get a video that does 1 million views, I'm going to try to make 10 more of those videos, the exact length, the exact, just for the exact time, the exact day I posted it, stuff like that.
This is kind of my own personal question, because I see guys like Gary Vee or, whoever, and they're like, you need to be posting 10 times a day.
Just depends.
Okay.
Like for me at the beginning, I was posting 3 or 4 times a day. But then once I got a decent following, then I start posting like 1 video a day for each platform.
Okay.
And then, I've gotten into making memes and stuff like that because those do really good. But I don't post nearly as much as I did when I was first growing.
Trying to build it up.
Probably need to get back to that, but it's just like once we got a decent following and I kept posting too many videos, it actually did the reverse effect for me. Like I would lose some followers or not get the views. And
yeah, it's interesting because one of the things, like one of my apprehensions is I probably have the ability to post something, multiple times a day, but my apprehension is like, well, then I'm just going to be watering people down. They're going to see my stuff all the time. They're going to get tired of it and unfollow me. I've only got 5,000 followers, on Facebook. So it's like, but then the alternative to that is if I'm only posting once a day, I'm not really giving them a reason to engage in my content. So I'd
say at the beginning at the beginning we was doing like 3 times a day, and that was only when we had TikTok only.
All video or kind of a mixture
all
of memes?
video back then.
Okay.
Now it's kind of a mixture.
Yeah, I know you get some funny memes and stuff.
And I just usually take videos and screenshot stuff from videos to make the
Oh, okay. Make the meme out of it.
A lot of times.
What was that shirt you were wearing in the one I saw today? He said, I just do whatever the voices in my wife's head tell me to do or whatever.
And that was a different, I just AI'd the
they
front
put
of
the shirt on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Well, it looked legit.
And it's crazy because a lot of people sent messages wanting to buy it. And I'm like, I need to figure out how to make
get some
shirts.
merch, dude.
Yeah, I need to figure out how to make these shirts.
Yeah, you drop ship them somewhere.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, I'm so glad you came on. It's been fun to really learn the story and get some tips too, because that's something I've been like, how are we going to do this? And so I've got a couple influencers coming on that I'm gonna pick everybody's brain, and we're gonna come up with a way to strategize and do That'd it on our own. So,
well, I've got a guy that, we'll talk about it off air, that I might be able to get to come to your show. That's pretty big around here. So
cool, man. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I don't want to name drop too much, but we got another kind of local comedian coming on, which.
It's not Tom, is it?
It is.
Well, that's who I was going to say.
Oh, really?
That's my buddy. We text and talk all the time. So.
Yeah, he's going to be coming on next week.
He's a trip.
He is hilarious. He used Sergeant Junket.
Did he really?
Yeah, he used us one time.
Dude.
He's a great dude.
So a guy that was his best friend, I know you probably getting close to ending it.
But you're good.
A guy that was his best friend worked with me I've been at my work for 31 years, and this guy was with me for about, 10 years. And he did content creation with Tom. Well, he passed away last year, but he was the guy that kind of took me under the wing a couple years ago and helped me figure out Facebook and Instagram. And
That's really cool. Man.
Jim Clark was his name. He did a lot of videos.
I saw that he had passed.
Yeah, he did a lot of videos with him.
Didn't they have like a thing for him in J-Town?
Yeah.
Jim's Louisville or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
He was a great dude. He just died too young,
Yeah.
But he made nothing but clean content too. And Tom Mabe is, I would say, 98% clean.
Yeah, yeah, he's pretty clean. He does mostly prank stuff.
Yeah, he goes to church. And,
he cracks me up, man.
He's on, you'll have to talk to him about his dry bar comedy. He does a lot of dry bar comedy on that channel. So
that's cool. Yeah, I saw he did. He's got a podcast out now where he's talking to dead people.
Yeah. He texted me a few of those. And
did he?
Yeah, I think the one he texted me was like JFK or something.
Yeah, he's got JFK and he's got not Wild Bill, some Western gunslinger.
He's a trip. You'll have fun with him because I don't think he's ever serious, if that makes sense.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I know he was like joking about the junk removal job. I was like, do you actually want us to remove your junk? I couldn't get a line on him, but he's always been really friendly. He was interested in the junk removal side because he's like, dude, you guys could have a TV show on this. And I'm like,
well, yeah.
I'm like, well, get us one going then, Tom.
Idea.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm looking forward to that. That'll be fun. So, well, man, I appreciate you coming on.
Right.
Anyone that's listening or watching, go and check out Chad. What are your handles to follow you?
Well, on Facebook, it's just simply Chad Sexton, and it should be the only one that is like the blue check mark verified. There's a bunch of fake pages out there, but if it's not verified, it's not us. And then on Instagram and TikTok, it's at the Chad Life _.
At the Chad Life _.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I highly encourage you to go check him out if you're looking to get a good laugh and even see Shannon make fun of him a little bit.
Oh, yeah. She does it all the time.
So, well, good, man. Guys, thank you so much for watching the show. We appreciate you. If you like the show, please follow the show, share the show. We would greatly appreciate it. We're trying to grow the show organically. If you got some value out of it, if Chad gave you something that you can use to grow your social media following, give us a 5-star rating. We would greatly appreciate it. We'll let him know that you gave us one. Guys, thank you so much. We will see you on the next episode.
Yeah. There's a war going on inside. Just to name a couple, I battle with porn and pride. In a persistent struggle, a reoccurring huddle, a prayer meeting with me and the Holy Spirit. Feeling free, but no, I'm nowhere near it. But thank God for his conviction. The awkward part of me that may leave others to suspicion and call me into question. I confess my addiction. Know it's a lethal weapon. May compromise the mission. Being proselytized from this humanistic system. You think about that until